Debunked, rehabilitated, and real entertaining. This is the Carl Jackson Podcast.
It's time for the GOP to drop everything they're doing and totally focus on impeaching current AG Merrick Garland. I don't want to hear anything else. I don't want to hear the GOP talk about, oh, now is not the time, or we have to be concerned about the pushback or from the left, or we have to be concerned about overreach, or we have to wait until the facts bear themselves out. This is a man who has literally called Trump supporters white domestic terrorists simply because they have a different belief system than him. This is a man that has gone after pro-life activists while he has been the DOJ, all the while ignoring the domestic terrorists that literally terrorized some of our Supreme Court justices. This is a man that has literally gone after parents that have shown up at school board meetings because they're concerned about their children's education, all the while ignoring the real domestic terrorists, the BLM activists and the Antifa activists. And now he's turned law and order on its head by going after the former president of the United States in order to get his boss re-elected. Stay tuned for some quick program messaging. We're going to break this down. All right, welcome to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. This is your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Guys, it is time to impeach. It is time to impeach Merrick Garland. It's the least the Republican Party can do. I don't want to hear Speaker McCarthy going, oh, this is a serious threat to the United States. I don't need to see him on news or hear him on radio. I don't need to hear this crap anymore. Listen, I started thinking about this, but I've heard conservatives say this time the left has crossed the Rubicon. Now, okay, maybe, but I think this was inevitable. Frankly, I think the left crossed the Rubicon with Obamacare, and we hardly did jack crap about it as Republicans and as conservatives. All right, so now this is inevitable. Of course, they've got to take on a sitting president. Of course, we got to become a banana republic. Right? This is exactly what the left is going to do. This is exactly what communists do. So I don't know why, and even speaking to myself as well, we shouldn't be surprised at how far the left will reach, even going after a former president of the United States. And I'll get into that. Obviously, you guys have heard the news over the weekend. I last reported on Friday that there appeared to be, although his attorneys didn't know exactly at the time because the indictment had not been released, but there were 7 charges that the DOJ was focusing on charging the former president of. Now that's jumped to 37 charges. All right. So we'll talk about that in a brief sec. I'm not going to go into detail and specificity because I believe, and by the way, I'll be on Prager this afternoon, so please check me out there. But I think that the Republican Party needs to focus their ire on impeaching on impeaching Merrick Garland. We cannot stand for this stuff any longer. Law and order must reign supreme in the United States, or we have absolutely nothing. And I'm sick and tired of the Republican Party sticking their finger in the air to see which way the wind blows. You just have to do the right thing. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, do the right thing and your feelings will follow. All right. So if you guys are acting scared and all this kind of stuff, get in the fight, jump in the fight. They've got to do the right thing. The right thing is to impeach Merrick Garland. I mean, I'm not against impeaching Joe Biden. I know that many argue it would be a waste of time, particularly now that we're heading into an election season. But I'm not so sure that it's not a bad idea to at least get it on paper, to at least get it put into our our history books, so to speak. Before I go any further, guys, I do want to remind you that without our sponsors, this podcast is impossible to do. So please, you know what? Let's have some national pride. Let's have some American pride. Let's have some American patriot pride. Let's have some American entrepreneur pride. And you can do that by going to mypillow.com, and you can support Mike Lindell, who's a patriot, but you can also support the workers that work for him. American jobs, American manufacturing, American made products. All right. Go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener square that's at the top of the page, and enter my name, Carl. as the promo code CARL, or if you want, you can give them a call at 800-858-0263. That is 800-858-0263. Right now, they have an exclusive offer for my listeners, and that is the new MyPillow 2.0. I'm sure you guys have heard about it, but have you tried it? Listen, I guarantee you will love it. I absolutely love the pillow myself. I didn't think that Mike Lindell or MyPillow could beat the original MyPillow, but they've managed to do it. It comes with the same patented adjustable feel as the original MyPillow, but it has a smoother outer layer that regulates temperature, making it softer, smoother, and even cooler to lay your head on. Plus, the biggest thing is they've got this offer where if you enter my name in the promo code CARL when you go to mypillow.com or give them a call at 800-858-0263, you will get the second pillow for free. So it is buy one, get one free. Keep in mind, these products come with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee as well. So go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Carl. Okay, now, getting back to the topic at hand, it is time to impeach Merrick Garland. And obviously, the big news of the day is Trump will be arraigned. Former President Donald Trump will be arraigned as of tomorrow. Now we know the DOJ, FBI, they've interfered, in the 2016 election. They've interfered in the 2020 election, and now they're interfering in the 2024 election, and not just in ways where they're going after the lead candidate. But consider this. There's other candidates that want to get on stage, and I believe that iron sharpens iron. They want to be able to share their point of views. I don't like all of the candidates that are in the race. Frankly, I don't like all of their policy positions. There's plenty of people that I really don't even want to be in the race. But having said that, election interference isn't just about stopping Donald Trump. It's about stopping all Republican ideas and making sure that the right conforms to left-wing groupthink. So we should be concerned about election interference with Donald Trump, but also with all the other candidates that are in the race. Because what the left is doing is absolutely despicable by weaponizing the DOJ. It is so dangerous what's going on. I mean, it's hard to express. It's getting frustrating. But we've elected some people to fight for us, and that is the Republican Party. And although they have a slim majority, I believe that they can be doing more. And I don't understand what they're waiting for when it comes to impeaching Merrick Garland. This is a guy that's obviously vengeful. He didn't get the Supreme Court seat that he wanted. And at the beginning of his reign under the Biden administration, it seems like he was really weak, and at least to the best of his ability, trying to follow the law until Biden let him know that, listen, man, if you don't step up the game, I want you to be as corrupt as I am. So if you don't step up the game and you don't start prosecuting those that think differently than us, then you're going to be out. And once Biden gave him that little nudging, if you will, then Merrick Garland has turned absolute 100% corrupt, and the DOJ has to be busted up. The FBI certainly has to be busted up. It can no longer continue to exist in the way in which it does. I want to dive into this further, but I do want to bring you some of the headlines of the day before I go through this. I've offered some of my reasons why the DOJ needs to be, or Merrick Garland needs to be impeached. But we'll go into that. First in the headlines, again, Trump will give himself to authorities for arraignment on Tuesday. That is tomorrow in Miami. So Donald Trump is preparing to surrender, this according to the Wall Street Journal, to authorities Tuesday and be arraigned at a federal courthouse in Miami as the Justice Department's unprecedented criminal case against the former president moves to its next phase. Law enforcement officials are bracing for the possibility of unrest as demonstrators, both supporting and opposing the former president, made plans to rally around the courthouse. Federal prosecutors, I believe I know some of the people that may be around there. None of them are violent. None of them will be doing anything violent around the courthouse. If it's anyone that would perpetrate violence, I guarantee you it would be those that are on the left. Federal prosecutors on Friday unsealed a sweeping 49-page indictment on 37 counts that are related to Trump's post-presidential handling of classified materials at his Mar-a-Lago residence, taking the country into what is uncharted territory. This is unprecedented. It has never happened before. All right, so this is something that, listen, you can hate Trump all you want to. This is so much bigger than Trump. I feel like sometimes conservatives do this story an injustice, but yes, they are going after Trump because the left is undoubtedly concerned about Trump, but they're also concerned about themselves. This is a complete CYA move. They put Biden in the White House in order to save liberalism, and now the threat of losing liberalism is clawing at the door, and they're absolutely terrified, and they've got a lot of skeletons in the closet that I know Donald Trump knows about. They fear him coming in because they fear that he will seek retribution, as frankly, well, he should. If he were to get elected, I do believe that the FBI and the DOJ has to be dismantled. And listen, we'll get into this some, but regardless, again, of what you feel about Trump, this is a dangerous precedent to set, because now you're saying that political opponents can go after their opponent. Democrats, do you really want to set this precedent? You may say yes now. You may want to rethink that. Some of the wiser ones of you out there may want to rethink that. There's a Democrat by the name of Senator Chris Coons. You guys may know of him. He says there's no evidence that the federal Department of Justice has been weaponized. He's a complete liar. He's a complete liar. He used to be a decent, what we called a moderate or liberal Democrat. Now they've all got to fall in line. So don't believe anything that Senator Chris Coons says. He's no longer a man of good reputation. As far as I'm concerned, the White House institutes a mask mandate with social distancing for the unvaccinated at an event. Oh, and by the way, did you guys see that they put not only a pride flag or hung a pride flag up at the White House over the weekend, but it's one of those flags that has the transgender emblem in the middle of it as well. It's disgusting. It's despicable. In my opinion, it's absolutely demoralizing, and it is un-American. You don't bring Americans together by putting other flags up around the American flag. There's one flag. We can have all the ideas that we want in the United States of America, but we should have one culture, one flag that identifies us all, and that is the American flag. To do anything beyond that is un-American. There shouldn't be any other flag up there, in my opinion, except the American flag. No other flag should stand anywhere close to the American flag that anyone would represent here in the United States. No cause or whatever. It just shouldn't happen. It just shouldn't happen. Now, having said that, let me move on. Oh, yeah. The White House institutes a mask mandate. I'm going to share a story with you guys on Prager for those of you that may tune in later that you're not going to want to miss about what's happening in South Korea. New evidence that is emerging in South Korea when it comes to the jab. It's a terrifying and it's a horrible story. Undoubtedly, it's happening here. And their information is lagging behind, but they're starting to retrieve information and the impact that it's had on some of their younger citizens. No telling what it's done here, the levels of damage that it's done here. So anyway, that's something that we should be concerned about. But this, according to Outkick, masks are back at the White House. And even in 2023, this is well after all available evidence has confirmed that they're useless and completely ineffective when stopping COVID. The Biden administration and the First Lady, or President Biden and Jill Biden, are inviting national championship teams from the NCAA Division 1, 2, and 3. I believe that means to say to the White House today. This Monday, both men's and women's teams will be honored by the administration for their accomplishments unless they're unvaccinated. So they're still playing that game. Because you have several college campuses that still demand that these students be unvaccinated. And so they've got to make sure that these college students bow the knee. So the unvaccinated guests will be punished with social distancing and masking, combined with multiple disproven pseudoscientific restrictions at the White House. They're still playing this game. They can't let go of it. And quite frankly, there needs to be some COVID repentance, including from people on the right. And I say even President Trump, I think he needs to just admit the truth. Listen, we had a corrupt Fauci. We had a corrupt, what's her name? Deborah Birx. They shared with me information that proved not to be true. I acted in the best interest, what I thought was in the best interest of the United States at the time, with Operation, Warp Speed and all this kind of stuff. And it turned out to be unfruitful. It turned out to be unfruitful. And those fools totally duped me. I mean, everybody knows it. Just say it. I think President Trump needs to say it. Everybody knows it, man. Those people are absolutely sick and evil. I don't think anyone believes that President Trump, not in their right mind anyway, tried to deceive or to hurt people. I just don't even believe it's in the man's heart to do so. I know people can't stand him, but that's the truth. All right. A North Korean hacking group. This is an interesting story. Stole $600 million in order to help fund their nuclear program. What they did basically last year, an engineer that was working for a blockchain gaming company by the name of Sky Mavis thought he was on the cusp of grabbing a new job with better pay. And so a recruiter reached out to him via LinkedIn. And after the two spoke over the phone, the recruiter gave the engineer a document to review as part of the interview process. All right. But the recruiter was part of a North Korean operation aimed at bringing in funds to the cash poor dictatorship of North Korea. And the document was basically a Trojan horse with malicious spyware and computer code that gave the North Koreans access to the engineer's computer and allowed hackers to break into Sky Mavis. So the people that were playing on Sky Mavis, they basically were able to steal $600 million from the people that were in there, and they were use it. North Korea was able to use it to bolster their nuclear program. I mean, pretty scandalous and pretty dangerous. But it also tells you how bad they were hurting. This is just some quick parting news, if you will. Cracker Barrel participates in Pride Month. And it doesn't look like they're grooming kids or doing any of that stuff. But apparently what they've done is they've made some of their rocking chairs. They posted where they're rocking chairs, all the colors of the rainbow, the gay pride thing over, celebrating Pride Month and all this kind of stuff. I don't understand why we have to bring attention to this stuff. I really don't understand it. And I don't understand why companies are dumb enough to shoot themselves in the foot. Just don't be political. Just serve food and call it a day. They serve good food. I regret this because, frankly, Cracker Barrel is one of my, if not my favorite restaurant because I love their pancakes. That's my favorite thing there. I always get their country boy breakfast and I add a side of pancakes. I know if you guys ever looked at the menu, you'd be like, good Lord, how can you eat all that? Well, I managed to do it, doggone it. And I absolutely loved it. And I was looking forward to going there for Father's Day, but that's not going to happen. I wish they had done this before Mother's Day because that's when they really bring in the big bucks. People don't care about dads as much in this country, but they love their mothers. So unfortunately, I'm not sure that they'll receive the full punishment that they should. And it isn't because you're homophobic or you just don't need to make that an issue. It's not an issue. These companies have to stop being political. They work to serve all, or they exist to serve all of us. Oh, you know what? There's another story that I thought was important to mention. Just real quick, George Soros' son, I believe his name Alex, is going to be taking over his operation. And he claims, his name is Alex. So the left-wing billionaire investor and philanthropist, I don't know why he's called a philanthropist, is reportedly handing over the reins to his son. He's brainwashed his 37-year-old son, Alex, enough to take over. And his son says, and I quote, "I'm more political." And he's only 37 years old. And George Soros is responsible for literally getting a lot of these woke DAs elected across the country. These woke DAs that absolutely love crime. They don't arrest criminals. They arrest people that dislike criminals. Right? They are mean-spirited towards conservatives or people that uphold the rule of law or admire the rule of law. But they are not mean when it comes to, they're soft on, and let's put it this way, they're soft on crime when it comes to minorities, period. You can do whatever the heck you want to, and they'll make sure that you don't go to jail or serve the time that you should be serving if you do a horrible crime and even smaller crimes. But you're going to pay the price if you happen to be on the right, or if you happen to be a white Christian conservative or conservative, period, you're going to pay the price. So he's responsible for getting a lot of these people elected to office. And now his son says, I'm even more political, and he's going to take over the $25 billion empire. All right, now let's get to the story of the day. Hat tip to the Federalist. Eddie Scarry wrote a column that I thought was prescient, just good, quick, concise. The Federalist, from the Federalist, time for House GOP to drop everything and to target Merrick Garland. Here's what the left wants us to do. Squirrel. What do we do? What do we do? All right, so this indictment issue with Donald Trump, it is a huge issue. It is a big issue. It's also inevitable. I think that Republicans saw this coming a mile away, and it's time to do something about it. See, what we've been trying to do is fight mano a mano. I get it. Okay, you're going after Trump. At least this is the way it seems. You're going after Trump. We're going after Biden. No, it's time to really use our teeth, so to speak, where they count. And that isn't to say we shouldn't continue. We should continue to go and persecute Biden. I think that we should continue to investigate him. Obviously, there's more evidence that he is corrupt and perhaps the most corrupt president to ever exist in the United States of America. And the GOP should continue to pursue that mission, to find out the truth and get into all the details of where he's compromised with foreign nationals. We know Ukraine, Romania are among some of the places. China is another place. But I think for a moment in time, we need to pause. We need to pause or stop everything that we're doing. And I think we need to focus on impeaching Merrick Garland. Guys, the rule of law has to be restored in this country. The rule of law must be restored. Garland, the head of the DOJ, is now seeking prison time for Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, the man right now that is most likely to defeat the current president in 2024, or at least run up against him. Guys, this is Vladimir Putin type stuff. This is Vladimir Putin stuff. This is Cuba stuff. 37 counts at 37 counts. The former president has been indicted of in the latest DOJ hit job on him. The GOP shouldn't be focused on the conviction or the acquittal per se, but if the case is legitimate at all, that's what they should be focused on. I'll expound on that in just a second. If the Republican Party doesn't do anything about this, they're sending this message to, there's nothing to do but sit here and wait and watch and see what happens. Meanwhile, the rule of law is being completely eroded in the United States. We can't wait. We don't have time. I don't know that there's anything that separates the U.S. government from the Russian government at this point in time. Seriously. Or I should say the leaders. Putin is corrupt. He's a dangerous man. Biden is corrupt. He's a dangerous man. Well, Putin is killing people and he's jailing people and he goes after reporters. So does Biden. Now, granted, not to the extent, not to the degree as Putin. But this guy in the White House is extremely dangerous, and his administration is dangerous. And I don't put anything past them. It's time to stop playing nice altogether. Let's stop talking about, well, let's wait and see what the facts say. We don't want Republicans to look as if we're overreaching. Man, it's time for all of that nonsense. Screw all of that nonsense. It's time to do the right thing. It's as simple as that. Listen to what these guys have done to this man. They've impeached him 2 times based on hoaxes. They've sued him to secure his personal tax returns, something that has never been done. They've brought witnesses before televised hearings for nothing except to try to embarrass the man. It isn't my goal to sit here and completely minimize what's taking place. Could Trump have handled the documents better? Well, some of the allegations laid out, yes, he could have. Could he have stored them better? Should they have been retrieved by the National Archives, some documents? That is all in dispute. But that is something that could have been worked out in a legal process. Arbitration, mediation, whatever. That could have been worked out. There was no need to jump the gun. Not to mention, look at all the people that have handled documents incorrectly, or people that are still working with the National Archives. for documents. Look at Biden. Biden was a VP. He shouldn't even have classified documents of any sort. And by the way, where's his Jack Smith? Where's the special counsel on his case? Vice President Mike Pence. Accidentally, apparently, as he left the White House, whomever packed up the boxes for him took stuff that he shouldn't have had. Well, he's the vice president. He shouldn't have had them. Guys, this should be a wash. If nothing else, this should be a wash. Frankly, I don't think it should be a wash for Biden because we have more evidence that he's the big guy that's been getting paid and pay-to-play schemes. Hooking up foreign nationals in exchange for policy decisions right here in the United States while he was vice president. And don't forget Hillary Clinton with her 33,000 emails that were just washed away. This is unbelievable where we are. There were mechanisms in place to deal with this. There was no reason for the Justice Department to go after Donald Trump in this way. None. Man, these people are just all out saying, listen, we can do whatever the heck we want. You're going to sit there and take it. We're transforming the United States whether you like it or not. And that is exactly what they're doing. Trump is charged with forms of obstruction and conspiracy. I'm not going to get into the details of it. You can read that on your own, frankly, and I'm sure all over talk radio today, they're going to be getting into, if they haven't already started, and I'm sure they have, getting into the 37 counts and all this kind of stuff. What we need to be asking is whether or not they are legitimate, whether or not this is a legitimate case. And we need to be going after Merrick Garland because now we see that this guy is completely no holds barred. We know that the White House is no holds barred. Do you think it is a coincidence that on the very day that the House GOP, the House Oversight Committee, were coming out to talk to the press about the corruption of Joe Biden and taking $5 million and his son taking $5 million from the Ukrainian government, all of a sudden the Trump indictment comes out? You think that's a coincidence? No, we're living in crazy times. There are charges against Hillary Clinton never face. You got the former sitting director of the FBI, James Comey, who said at the time about Clinton that she was extremely careless in handling government secrets, but no indictment came down. And this is a lady who literally had a private server that had confidential information on it that other countries were hacking. How many people died? How many secrets were just given over to our enemies as a result of Hillary Clinton keeping a private email server for government classified documents? Nothing. She's out there selling paraphernalia. Merrick Garland has corrupted the office of the Attorney General's office. He's politicized the office. He's politicized law and order. He's weaponized law and order. He's weaponized the DOJ, and all in an attempt to get his boss reelected. That is disgusting. We should not stand for it. Thank God this guy wasn't put on the Supreme Court of the United States. Consider what he's done. White supremacists or I shouldn't say that. Trump supporters are white supremacists. They're democratic. They're terrorists. They're domestic terrorists. Not because they've done anything wrong. There's millions of them. What was it? Over 75 million. I don't remember the exact number of people that voted for Donald Trump. Really? Those are all domestic terrorists. Where are all the domestic terrorist events? Why do they just have to go back to J6? And now we're getting more stories and more video that is continuing to come out, as well as some that I showed you last week where people were literally let in. And you're talking about a couple to a few hundred people. You're not talking about the over 500,000 people that showed up at Trump's rally on J6. It's unbelievable, man. This stuff is unbelievable. I don't even know what else to say, except that's probably why I keep saying it's unbelievable. This is insane. I've been listening to these stories of the UFO spottings and all that, and I'm just like, what's going on here? I'm so skeptical about that stuff. I just don't know what to think. I'm like, is this a distraction? Is this real? Why is this stuff coming out now? I don't know. I don't know what to think. Perhaps we'll have to dive into that. But getting back to Merrick Garland, the guy has totally weaponized the DOJ. I don't know what Senator Chris Coons is talking about. Again, if you vote for Trump, you're a white supremacist. If you're a parent that's concerned about your child's education and you attend a school board meeting in order to figure out what the heck is going on, what your child is being taught, you speak up against it, apparently you're a domestic terrorist. If you're a pro-life activist and you sit in front of an abortion clinic, even if you're in a location deemed lawful, then you're a domestic terrorist. Yet you can have real domestic terrorists vandalize pro-life pregnancy clinics and crickets. You have to demand and bring in the DOJ director or the head of the DOJ, Merrick Garland, in order to get any type of justice. Force him to come and sit before Congress. And you're lucky to get any justice. It's unbelievable. You got BLM activists and Antifa activists causing all types of death and murder and mayhem across the country as a result of the George Floyd riots. Nothing. Crickets. You don't hear anything about Antifa. You don't hear anything about BLM. Man, this stuff it's just so sick to me. It's sad. It's saddening. This is sad. It's just sad where we are. This is saddening to me. And now you have a guy that is literally undermining the presidency, using the power of the DOJ and weaponizing the DOJ to undermine or to interfere in the next election process. Republicans, where are you? I don't care about Kevin McCarthy showing up on Fox News or anywhere else for that matter. I want you guys to impeach Merrick Garland. That's the least you could do. That is the least you could do in order to restore law and order. Guys, listen, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. I ask you to please subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. We're on Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. Please subscribe to our YouTube page and our Rumble page. All right, the Carl Jackson Show, rumble.com, all things social media. We're on Instagram. Love to see you there. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Truth Social. The Carl Jackson Show, or at The Carl Jackson Show, is where you can find us. Guys, until next time, don't grow weary doing good, and God bless you.